Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. The topic today is, are you in alignment? And what you are or not in alignment with could be a lot of different things. It'll depend on the individual. But if there was anything in particular that you had in mind when you read the title of this video, let that be the context for this reading. If you didn't have anything in mind, it could be a lot of different things. Like I said, if you're trying to manifest something or you have any particular goals, you could use this reading to see, are you in alignment with your manifestations, or where you're trying to go, what you're trying to accomplish. It also could just be if you're trying to work on healing or shadow work, or anything along those lines of like personal growth and development. You can use it as a gauge to see how you're doing with that. Or more generally, it could just be, are you in alignment with your highest self or your higher purpose? So like I said, if you had something in mind already, let that be the context. But if you didn't have anything in mind, I would choose something, because obviously I'm going to be interpreting the cards for the collective. So there's always going to be an extra layer of interpretation that you need to do using your intuition to see how this applies directly to you in your life. So like I said, if you don't have anything in mind, maybe pause the video if you want to think about it. I wouldn't overthink it, don't spend too much time on that. But otherwise, like I said, you can take it as, a reading to see if you're in alignment with your highest self. So I'm going to start off with, I have pre-shuffled some Oracle cards. And so these are going to represent the energy that you want to be in alignment with. So this will be the energy that you would need to be in to manifest what you're trying to manifest, or, this is the energy that you need to focus on to be in alignment with your higher purpose, etc. So you can kind of use that as an energy check if you like. And then I'm going to get into the tarot and pull some cards to see where you are right now. And I haven't done this before, but I have created these cards to represent the spread. So to maybe help you keep track, both of us to keep track of which each card represents. We'll get into that when we get to the tarot. But first, I want to start off by pulling a card from the Oracle deck I created, the BTS Song of the Soul Oracle. And so we will just start getting one card for the overall energy. I guess we can take all three. I was kind of feeling this one, but we'll take a look at the other two as well. We have blood, sweat, tears, even though I know I drink from the poison chalice, and the keyword is addiction. So it could be that, you are feeling like you're really struggling to break old thought patterns or get out of, stagnant energy, trying to release the past habits, past frames of mind. It could be a lot of different things, but that seems to be the current energy. But let's go ahead and take a look at these as well. We have no more dream. Go on your path, even if you live for a day. Do something, put your weakness away, with the keyword clarity. I guess I had these just in case I needed some extra card holders. I don't know if they don't seem to work as well as the black ones though. And then we also have epilogue, young forever, dreams, hopes, moving forward, and the keyword is imagination. All right, for some reason that was way more difficult to get those in the card holders than I thought it would. But I do think it's interesting how the No More Dream and Young Forever came out kind of together, because those seem to be, like a similar energy of, wanting to move forward towards your dream, whether that's your higher purpose, whether it's something you're trying to manifest. But the fact that we also had blood, sweat, tears come out with this keyword of addiction, it's giving me the sense that you're having a hard time like mentally maybe or emotionally staying on that path, and you feel like you're being pulled away from it and getting sucked back into, past patterns and habits, and you're having a hard time breaking those cycles maybe. But let's take a look at your oracle cards now. We have the Hunter with sure-footedness, predestination. We have the Hawk. We have Taurus with the keyword cultivate. And then we have the Flame. Well, yeah, I'm feeling like this card with clarity is really sticking out to me as well. So like maybe this is like your current energy, and the other two cards go along more with these cards of what you're trying to accomplish, like I mentioned before. But the Hawk, well, it's interesting because you have the Hunter and the Hawk is a bird of prey. But the Hawk talks about having clarity, of having that, being able to see the whole picture of something while also being able to see, because hawks have such great eyesight, being able to see the details as well as the big picture. The Hunter's about patience and focus, not being distracted by other things. The Hunter has to, be very still and, and patient, knowing exactly what it is that they are trying to hunt, but their goal. And Taurus also, it has, that grounded energy of stillness, of being rooted, which is interesting with the keywords sure-footedness. I guess not so much predestination. That would go more with the, where you're trying to head. But with the sure-footedness, it's like being rooted, being, knowing with certainty exactly, what it is, having that focus in order to cultivate, whatever your goal is at this time. And then the Flame, that, it's really just making me think of like divine inspiration. Some people have different takes on it, but I think of the wands and tarot, like with the fire element, to be spirituality, spirit. So I'm really getting like, oh, and actually, now that I'm thinking about, divine inspiration with the Flame, the Hawk card, actually, I think in the guidebook it talks about another layer of that card, meaning like divine messages. So this could be related to your higher purpose of you being a divine messenger. If you have like a story to share, or just, it could come out in a lot of different ways, but in order to inspire others. But also it could be needing to be in this energy of alignment to receive divine messages, to be spiritually connected, to keep your passion and inspiration, to keep that spark, lit. That's what I'm getting overall for the energy that that you want to stay in, is that focus of knowing, without, this uncertainty or, like wishy-washy back and forth thinking, of maintaining that focus with certainty that, what you are trying to achieve is, not only possible, but, like if you're talking about divine purpose, then, that is what you are meant to do. So it's, important not to question that, or question whether you're able to do it, because you wouldn't have, that calling if you weren't capable of achieving it. So with the blood, sweat, tears, maybe you're doubting it, maybe you're second guessing, can I manifest this, or am I on the right path? And, what you really want to be doing is to maintain that focus, to not get distracted by those anxious thoughts or worries, or things that might go wrong, and just know what you're doing, and be grounded in that, so that you can cultivate, with patience and whatnot, the practical steps. Taurus also talks about being practical, and that's not to say be practical in the sense of don't have dreams, settle for what's practical, but in the sense of like, don't keep your dreams as like a fantasy, take practical steps to bring them into reality. But yeah, I think that's, if anything else comes up, I'll mention it. But I want to now get into the tarot, and I have these cards I made to represent, well, to sort of be place markers for each of the cards. So we're going to get a card for your energy overall right now, and then, your state of mind, physical, emotional, spiritual aspects of self. This could also be like behavioral, like physical action that you're taking. And then we'll end with some guidance. So I haven't really tried this before, so we'll see how it goes. But so like, obviously we have the 4 elements here as well, which go with tarot. So this would be air or swords. This would be pentacles or earth. This would be water or cups, and this would be wands or fire. But the way I'm going to determine like whether you are in alignment is not going to have anything to do with the suits of the cards that come out, but each suit could have different meanings. So the way that I'm going to take it is, if it comes in reverse, it's out of alignment. But if it comes upright, then that'll be that you're in alignment. And so we'll interpret it that way. So let's start by getting a card for your overall energy. Cards don't seem to want to come out today. Oof. Okay, so you got 2. We have the 10 of Cups in reverse and the 4 of Wands in reverse. So overall, it seems like there is some, misalignment. Well, obviously, we're going to get into some more detail with that. But I wouldn't, don't get too worked up over it, because that's exactly what this reading is for. So like, don't be discouraged that these cards came up negative, meaning that you are not in alignment right now, because in order to get into alignment, you have to first acknowledge where you are, and you might not be as far off as you think, so that's what the whole purpose of this reading is to figure out how to get into alignment, and to figure out, what you're doing right to keep doing and what needs to be worked on. So overall, with the 10 of Cups being in reversed, upright, it's talking about emotional fulfillment. And I mean, and the 4 of Wands also talks about stability. And both of these cards can have to do with family. The 10 of Cups is more commonly associated with it, but since the 4 of Wands can be associated with marriage or like foundation, that can be, also related to like a happy home. And so maybe there is something going on in your home life that is making you feel, that is weighing you down or preoccupying your thoughts or emotions. Or it could just be that you are feeling a lack of that in general, or maybe that it's just like not something like like there is no happily ever after sort of thing, like maybe you're having those sort of thoughts, like preventing you from like really fully believing that you're capable of, whatever it is you're trying to be in alignment with, whatever you're trying to attract or achieve in your life. So this could also be just like a feeling of instability, because like I said, the 4s in general, really, it's about foundation, instability. So, it could, like I said, it could have something to do with home life. But let's pull some more cards and see, we might get some more. Actually, maybe I will do that. I think I'm just going to pull all of the cards so that we can see how, at least these 4, because I feel like, these even though we have like these different categories, all of these energies affect and influence one another. So I think it makes sense to get mind, body, heart, and soul right now. So let's start with mind to see where your mental state is, what kind of thoughts are going on in your head, and if these are in alignment with your, higher self, or what, like I said, whatever it is for you. Oh my goodness, we just don't want to get single cards today. The Queen of Wands, the Fool, and the Knight of Pentacles, all in the reverse. So let me just think about this for a moment. I mean, in general, with the Fool, when it's reversed, I get the feeling of like resisting the call, or, being afraid to take that first step. And the Knight of Pentacles is that slow and steady progress, right? And so like with this, it's giving me this feeling of like, oh, the journey ahead for me to actually achieve this or to manifest this, I'm so far behind. It's going to take so long. It's going to take, like I don't have the patience. I'm getting like a lot of that just just hesitation to, or discouragement of even wanting to begin the journey. And the Queen of Wands is also makes me think of, being inspired, being creative, tapping into your creative, tapping into that flame, that spark. And so maybe your mental state is so, like you just have this perspective of like the journey ahead being so long and so difficult that like you're not feeling inspired. Like you're blocking it, like a creative block, really, because even if you're not doing something creative, you can think of creation in the sense of like co-creating, manifesting, whatever. But that the anxiety or the hesitation, like all these worries, are just like I said, the perspective of like, oh, it's so far away, it's so far away for me to reach my goal. It's hard to like make yourself begin when you feel like even if you do so, you're not going to make the kind of progress you want to see. So whatever sort of fears or negativity that you're feeling is keeping you from really pursuing this. Maybe there's a feeling of impatience, but like that's the irony, is that not wanting to start something because it's going to be a slow and long process. The longer you wait to take that first step, the longer it's going to take you to achieve what it is that you are trying to, or that you want to. Maybe if you haven't taken the first step, you haven't actually tried to. So there's something about like a lack of confidence maybe as well in your ability to actually manifest it. And I will say, like, if you don't try, you will not succeed, right? If you think you can't do it, you're not going to do it. But okay. Well, the card wanted to flip around for whatever reason, so we'll do that because that's what we're trying to get into. So we'll just scooch these. Oh, I said I was going to shuffle out all the cards and then I didn't. So let's get one for body, physical. Okay, we have the Ace of Wands and the 10 of Wands upright. So heart, What is the current energy? Are you in alignment in your heart space? You have the Nine of Cups upright. And then for spirit, is your soul in alignment? Okay, we'll take it. We got 3. Oh, no, we got 4. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we have the Queen of Swords in reverse. We have the Nine of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Page of Cups. So there's a lot going on here. Let me think about this. I'm not even sure how to arrange these. So overall, it does seem like you are in alignment as far as your soul goes. But, you know, the Queen of Swords, that's, you know, that air energy, that's the mental, the mental aspect. So it seems like that is the source of, you know, this being unaligned, because in your heart, you know, like the Nine of Cups is like the wish fulfillment card. So it's like emotionally, your heart is calling you towards this. You feel drawn towards this. And so emotionally, you're there. And even physically, it's like with the 10 of Wands, you know, that is a feeling of, you know, it's usually a feeling of being burdened. Let me see if I can. And then, but the Ace of Wands is like a new beginning, new inspiration. It's that spark, it's that flame. So, I mean, overall, it seems like physically, I don't know, that's an interesting, I'm not sure how to interpret the 10 of Wands in like a positive sense of alignment. Maybe it's just that you have the recognition of knowing, you know, what is too much for you to take on. You have a good balance when it comes to, I guess, being grounded and like being in tune with your body, knowing what is, you know, what is too much, and, you know, or when you can do more. That's mostly what I'm getting for that. You have a lot of Wands energy, actually. So as far as the spiritual goes, we talked about the Queen of Swords, you know, like that's the only thing that is keeping you from being fully in alignment on a spiritual level, on a soul level. But you have the Page of Cups upright, which is, well, I mean, I always think of it as like surprises or curiosity. You know, the pages are younger, so they have that sort of youthful energy. But at the same time, the Nine of Wands always indicates that like you have been through a lot, like you have seen battle, you know, that sort of thing. And it is also about having like defenses up, but in being upright, I'm getting that it's like healthy boundaries. And like you are obviously, with the High Priestess here, you are really in tune with your intuition. So I think that you have achieved this balance of like, even though you've been through a lot, even though you've had to be strong and had a lot to overcome, like you've still been able to maintain that like youthful innocence, that childlike curiosity, to not like completely close yourself off. But it's just the mental aspect, because being in tune with your intuition means that you have to have your heart, your mind, and your heart need to be balanced, because, you know, you don't want to always respond emotionally, impulsively, but you also don't want to get too stuck in your head. So when those two are balanced, that's when you can hear your intuition. And you are a very intuitive person. You are in tune with, like your inner guidance. It's just this mental chatter going on, this hesitation, this fear of of being afraid to start your journey. So let's get one more card for guidance of how you can, reframe your perspective and, release those worries and anxiety in order to actually move forward. Okay, you have the Knight of Swords and the Six of Pentacles. So the Knight of Swords is like one of the fastest moving cards in the deck, which is why this card is funny, because it's literally, he's already gone. He's almost completely out of the picture, because he's on his way. And so I'm getting like, even if you are struggling to, release your anxiety, to overcome, to stop the mental chatter, it's like, do something anyway. Start moving forward anyway, in spite of it, because, that might be the only way you can, overcome those anxieties, is to see that they're not actually based on, on reality. And then the Six of Pentacles is all about, well, it's about balance, but also about receiving, giving and receiving, the equal give and take. So this could mean accepting help when you need it. If you're not sure where to begin, seek advice, seek guidance, or, ask for help. And it could even be just like maybe asking, I don't know what your beliefs are, but like if you believe in God, or if you believe in the universe, or, for me, I try to tap into the collective unconscious, because that's a wisdom that is greater than any single individual could, access, like from within themselves. Although you do access the collective unconscious, I believe, internally. But anyway, so asking for help when you need it, being open to receive, and moving forward in spite of your fears and anxieties. So that's what I'm getting for that. Let me just see if there is anything else I'm missing here. I'm also kind of feeling like this, maybe it's not that you don't believe like emotional fulfillment and stability, happiness, a happy home, whatever it is possible for you, but just that it's delayed, because that's sometimes what that card can actually mean, is like delays. So maybe it's just, it seems so far away from you that you don't even, it seems exhausting. You're exhausted before even beginning your journey with these cards. I mean, or the Queen of Wands is also about confidence, like I mentioned. So maybe there's a lack of confidence that you can make it all the way through, maybe if you have like, well, especially if you have like, if you're neurodivergent and have a hard time focusing, something like that could make it seem like, oh, well, I have ADHD, so I can't stay focused that long, or, I can't commit to something that's going to take that much of my time or something, like there could be, you don't have to be neurodivergent, but that was just like an example that came to mind. But like, that's a negative thinking pattern that needs to be shifted so that you can step into this confidence more. This one is still kind of puzzling me. Like, I don't feel like I've explained this one well enough. Maybe it's that you are actually capable of taking on a lot. You are very strong, whether it is like literally physically or like just being grounded. Or that you've overcome a lot of heavy burdens in your life. Maybe you've had a lot of, you could have had health problems, or material problems like wealth. You could have struggled financially. But like those things have strengthened you. And also the fact that, you know, for the body, we have both of these cards are wands. That's interesting to me. So, you know, like it seems like your physical behavior, the action that you take is, you know, like spiritually guided. That's what I'm getting from that. I don't know, maybe you do yoga or something along the lines that, you know, would kind of blend those two of physical exercise, but also, you know, spiritual or something you're passionate about. Really, it could be anything that you're passionate about. I think I want to get just one more oracle card for a little more guidance. That's not one more oracle card. So guidance for getting the mind specifically into alignment. Seriously, the cards do not want to come out today, or they want to come out with friends. Maybe you aren't wanting to do this without feeling like you have support. Maybe you don't feel like you can do this alone. Which I think that simultaneously there's the fact that you need to be more confident in yourself, but also ask for help when you need it. Okay. We have In Perfect Harmony, number 11. Does that fit in there? No. So this is in the category of water. So connection, sexuality, intimacy, birthing desire, pleasure, feelings, and fluidity. And the key concepts are togetherness, healthy and harmonious partnerships, commitment to a relationship, collaboration with others, interdependence. You're entering a time of healthy, harmonious partnerships. Collaboration is key here as you're invited to explore the potential inherent in making a commitment to another person, or a group, or even yourself. Know that you are bringing different gifts to the table. You don't have to be in exact lockstep with everyone else. Bring your authentic self. Being your authentic self actually brings you into alignment with others. You are a note in a harmony that neither overpowers you nor is overpowered by any other. Your beautiful interdependence allows you all to shine. Just keep an eye out for a sign that your subconscious or, you know, unconscious, if you want to be more accurate. Sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine. But anyway, which has been conditioned by your previous hurts and experiences, is working in a way not in accord with what your healthy self intends. For example, you may desire a relationship but expect to be betrayed, so you unconsciously sabotage it. You say you want to lose weight but continue to eat compulsively and avoid exercise. In these moments, you are not attuned with yourself, and this disharmony spills out into all other parts of your life. If this is happening, you might want to take a hard look at yourself, do a self-inventory, forgive yourself, and then start singing a new song of self-love and acceptance. What's really great about this is how quickly you are now able to turn this around. Have no fear, it is so easy to get back in tune. All it takes is self-honesty and a willingness to heal. You can do it. This is really such a fortunate time. So a lot of, you know, this unconscious sabotaging is like, you know, bringing it back to this. But there's also a lot of about collaboration. So, you know, maybe you are actually feeling like you have to do it alone, but you don't need to. It's not going to detract from your accomplishments in any way. You know, it could be a really positive thing. Or it could just be needing to collaborate with, you know, spirit more if you're into that. But there's also, I'm getting like this message of like the journey being longer, like being really long, is more in your head. That once you get started, it's going to, it says, you know, you can turn it around quickly. It's going to be a lot quicker than you think. So, yeah, so be your authentic self. Stay positive. Don't let the negative mental chatter discourage you, and be open to collaborating with others. So to end off, let's just get a couple of these lyric cards. And I guess there's also like, maybe you want to collaborate and you don't feel like you have a lot to offer, like this card was talking about. So again, like working on the confidence. It seems like, you know, the Queen of Swords is about seeing to the heart of the matter. And in reverse, it's like you're missing the point. You're getting too distracted by your anxieties and worries and self-doubt that it's preventing you from seeing clearly, of being able to be more confident in yourself. Seriously, the cards do not want to come out today. There you go. Just trust myself. Whatever might await us from now on, I'm looking far ahead at what lies at what lies beyond. And even if I fall, am wounded or in pain, I keep running endlessly toward my dream. Got young forever twice. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought, if this made sense to you. And yeah, I'll see you next time.